A very good evening, Eswatini. You're watching Eswatini TV News Bulletin at 8, read to you by myself, Notile Sitole. First up, here's a look at tonight's headlines. Their Majesties have announced that there won't be Bukanu ceremony this year due to the outbreak of COVID-19. The Minister of Home Affairs today visited the Ministry's DC offices in Babane. The Minister of Commerce has officially launched IPA's investment promotion, facilitation and aftercare strategy. And now, our bulletin in detail. There will be no Bukanu ceremony for the year 2021 due to the COVID-19 global pandemic. This royal command was revealed by the Hlane Lutsango leader Beauty Kametse when making an announcement at Lutsitsini royal residence. The Lutsango leader emphasized on how important it is to their Majesties to keep Lutsango safe and healthy. On the same note, Lutsango member Wendy Hleta advised members of the regiment to contact relevant authorities in case they are interested in taking part in the Marula business.
Nyaluvusela Lutsango malangeni ninebe kunene siyanatisa kokuthi lonyaka kude umgidvo wemaganu nganasi sifo lesikhona la kaNgwane umgidvo wemaganu kutabete malangeni lesicela bophezulu kwemkhono sicela ukuthi bophezulu kwemkhono kwathiwa emagana kabuthwa kepha bophezulu kwemkhono sathi labo labawubuthela jamu siyacela kokuthi ke bahlabele jamu bangaqali bahlabe emaganu bahlabele tshwala afunakali tshwala bophezulu kwemkhono buganu kubete lokuphisako ngalesifo lesikhona la kaNgwane siyacela bophezulu kwemkhono labo malangeni labahlabe emaganu bendela jamu labanetinganu kunefem lekhona lapha ngiphaka lokungiyona ithenga lamaganu bophezulu kwemkhono lawo lagcotshiwe nalawo langagcotshwa siyacela ke bophezulu kwemkhono labo labakwati kugqoba bayathi ukuthi bangiphaka babathinta kanjani labo labababeka kokuthi ngabo lataba thinta lalamaye malunga okugqoba tingano nalabo bophezulu kwemkhono labangakwati ukugqoba lamagama abahambe bawuthengisa letingano lefemini ifemi yatigqobela nitothola labo bozuka bophezulu kwemkhono wethe wena phakathi Nkosi.
Njengoba indvuna seyibekile bophezulu kwemkhono ngokuthi emakhosi akhathalela kokuthi kumbe leto tingano nangabe tikhona ningabe senilithola njani lutswayi ngato sithi kasisho ke ukuthi bakhona laba bakaswazi secret embaka labangibona batawuthintsana nalabo labafanele ngemimango leminye yafundziswa leminye ayifundziswanga kepha ke imininingwane leminengi itawutholakala ngabo bakaswazi secret ngekokuthi labo labasemimangweni bathintsane nawo sicela kuniphatha inombolo dabo ke kunaJabu Mkhonda inombolo yakhe ithi 7605 7063 Jabu Dlamini utholakala ku 7605 7063 bese kuba na Phethile Dlamini yena utholakala ku 7644 0851 Phethile Dlamini ku 7644 0851 angisho ke bekunene kokuthi labo labanawo lamagano la kasengahlatshwa nabo bangathinta base-Eswatini kitchen esithokotho ngokuthi batawuva imininingwane kokuthi khona ngabe bangaletha nangabe akanjani emagano abo nangabe kukhona la sekhona sigcizelele bekunene lesimemetelo asisho kokuthi kuye uphiswa tshwala kwentiwa lokudlekako lokufana najamu kumbe naloko ke lokungaba ukuthi kumbe boacha nekuthi kuthengiswe letingane kutophuma lamafutha phezu kwemkhono.
Minister of Home Affairs Princess Lindiwe says the ministry is working around the clock to solve the long queues at the ministry's offices located at DC in Babane. The minister says more working equipment will be added as means to address the issue.
The public go to these offices, among other things, to register national identity cards, register marriages and birth certificates. Last week, Eswatini TV reported about the long queues at the Home Affairs DC offices in Babane, where members of the public complained about poor service. On Wednesday, the Minister of Home Affairs, Princess Lindiwe, visited the offices with an intention to see what was exactly happening. She promises that the ministry will find an amicable solution.
It's clear that the ministry has to come up with a solution which will reduce the time spent by Eswatini while queuing for services. The ministry is yet to discuss the issue as means to find a solution. While touring the offices, we were told about shortage of equipment. There is a single typing computer, also a single national identity cards registering machine, as well as a single computer at civil registration offices. We were informed that this was not the case in the past. Another thing that is causing delay is that for late marriage registration, 5 people have to be interviewed. Another delay is also caused by interviewing people coming to register for national identity cards for the first time. The long queue is also caused by the fact that on March 1st, government will hike prices for home affairs services, so there is a mad rush. However, the ministry will come up with a lasting solution to these challenges.
The minister also complains about some of Eswatini who does not collect their national identity cards and certificates after being printed out. She discourages such habit while urging them to collect their belongings. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla, Babane.
The Minister of Commerce, Industry and Trade, Manqoba Khumalo, has officially launched the Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority's Investment Promotion Facilitation and Aftercare Strategy. Minister Khumalo says with the launch of the strategy, he hopes that APA will perform much better in bringing investors in the country.
The launch of Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority's Investment Promotion Facilitation and Aftercare Strategy was held virtually. The strategy was launched under the theme Investment is Everyone's Business. Also part of the virtual launch was Her Excellency, Ambassador from the European Union, Esmeralda Aragons, Director and Partner of GDP Global, Christina Natsin, to name but a few. Minister of Commerce, Industry and Trade, Manqoba Khumalo, says the launch of the strategy will have a positive impact on IPA.
Through this strategy that we are launching today, IPA will enhance their ability to attract new investors, ensure efficient and prompt facilitation, ensure retention of existing investors. And I think Nati spoke passionately about that in terms of just aftercare and making sure that we reach out to existing investors and ensure that they, get all the support they need to survive and sustain through this difficult period. IPA will also be able to promote Eswatini as the ideal investment destination and strengthen Eswatini's position as the entry point for companies from Asia and the West as they try to venture into the African market, particularly in the advent of the AFCFTA. For IPA to realize the full benefit of this strategy, it must be adequately resourced, supported with the right operating system, the right personnel, the right budget, and many, many more that have been alluded to in earlier speeches. It is very encouraging, though, to note that IPA staff have been trained to carry out their mandate, especially at a time when attraction, promotion, and facilitation of FDIs has been particularly difficult. We are really encouraging IPA to step up the aftercare service.
Minister Khumalo says the launch comes at an opportune time when His Majesty King Mswati III, during his speech from the throne last Friday, emphasized the importance of focusing on attracting investors, even during this period of restrictive COVID-19 regulations. Speaking during the launch, EU Ambassador complimented the Minister of Commerce, Industry and Trade, Manqoba Khumalo, and IPA Chief Executive Officer Sibane Mngomezulu on the successful development of the strategy, and said that its launch was a milestone in advising the business environment in Eswatini. Meanwhile, GDP Global Director and Partner Natsin mentioned how value chains in business are being disrupted and how this may exacerbate as a result of various global economic factors. She highlighted the importance of preparing to absorb these global changes, which she says is vital to that local companies are not left behind. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla, Mbabane.
The Minister of Health, Lizinkosi, says hygiene is of paramount importance for everyone, especially during the COVID-19 outbreak. The minister said this during the official launching of Hlantika campaign By the Water Aid. The campaign was launched on Wednesday at the Pixpic Hotel.
WaterAid Eswatini has launched a campaign on hygiene as a means to curb the spread of COVID-19. The campaign will start in 2 constituencies in the northern Hoho, which are Mayuane and Nzingeni. Speaking during the launch of the campaign, the Minister of Health, Lizinkosi, said the campaign will play a vital role in bridging the present gaps within issues of hygiene in different communities in the country. The Minister says hygiene is key during these trying times of the outbreak of the COVID-19.
100% wemakhaya la lapho kuleyo ndzawo ufuna abe nemithoyi nifuna emanti lageletako njoba kwakhiwe emanti kuboshiselwe nibomanzini kuphi nalapha kaho kuyakhiwe emanti 100% wemakhaya la lapho ufuna abe nemithoyi so kwenziwa yini lokuthi kube khona 11% wemaswati lasahamba ayotiphume esiganga.
WaterAid Director Ncamiso Mhlanga says a research they conducted shows that issues of hygiene are still missing in the country, yet emaswati should make it a habit. Mhlanga says there were several findings from the research which prompted them to start the campaign.
Kungako ke ndvuna sabe sithi no vele lo cwaningo liyakhombisa ukuthi bantu labanenge eveni lakithi la ngwane vele lenzaba yokugeza tandla indzaba lebeyisemva kakhulu ikakhulu ndvuna before covid ngoba icovid ichamkile yaphinze wa reinforce lama messages ukuthi bantu abakhona ukugeza tandla.
Ndvuna Tetinkhundla, Mayuane and Nzingeni, who represented their members of parliament, said the WaterAid organization has played a huge role in sharing information on hygiene within their constituencies, and they commend the campaign, which they said will go a long way in addressing issues of hygiene. Hoho Regional Administrator's representative Mandla Mavuso thanked the organization and the Ministry of Health for their undivided efforts of ensuring the safety of the people. Reporting in Mlungulila Makakula, Pixpic.
The U.S. Embassy spokesperson Stephanie Sandoval has confirmed that Eswatini will benefit from the $4 billion that President Joe Biden contributed to COVAX facility to purchase COVID-19 vaccines. President Biden made the announcement during a virtual meeting of the 7 industrialized nations, also known as G7, on Friday.
President Joe Biden has announced that he is taking steps to improve the health and safety of Americans by protecting vulnerable populations worldwide. He says he will also call on G7 partners to prioritize a sustainable health security financing mechanism aimed at catalyzing countries to build the needed capacity to end this pandemic. President Biden says the U.S. will contribute an initial $2 billion to COVAX, which supports access to safe and effective vaccines for 92 low-middle income economies. He says the U.S. will also make further global contributions to COVAX by releasing an additional $2 billion through 2021 and 2022, of which the first $500 will be made available when existing donor pledges are fulfilled and initial doses are delivered to countries. Biden says this additional money will serve to expand COVAX's reach. Reporting, I'm Mlungulila Makakula in Mbabane.
The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Education and Training, Bertram Stewart, says The construction of 4 all-inclusive secondary schools has been completed, and classes will commence when government announces the opening of schools for the 2021 academic year. Stewart says the ministry has even hired all the teachers and principals for the schools to start operating.
The construction of the schools project was financially assisted by the government of Japan, which donated an amount of 250 million malangeni, and the government of Eswatini contributed 5 million malangeni. The scope of the project involved the construction of classrooms, laboratories, staff houses, school furniture, and buses to transport children with disabilities. The schools were all completed and handed over to the Ministry of Education in December last year. The Principal Secretary, Bertram Stewart, says the schools have started the process of admitting new learners. The 4 schools are located at Eswatini, Shiselweni region, Gamula, Lubunjeni, Boyane, Manzini, and Eswatini in the Hoho region.
Principals for these schools have already been appointed, and would like to encourage them to make sure that there is a balanced ratio between learners with special needs and those that are do not have any special needs. So that balance is very, very key, and would like to encourage principals to make sure that they maintain that balance so that we see the relevance of those schools. Parents are also encouraged to make sure that their children with special needs at secondary schools are brought to those schools, as I've highlighted above. The schools actually comprise classrooms from Form 1 to Form 5, and that will include science, ICT, consumer science, and the House for Agriculture experiments. As I've highlighted, that school principals for the 4 designated schools have already been designated. We are now in the process of making sure that also the support staff and teachers are being appointed even before the schools reopen. That is what the ministry is currently working on.
Stewart says by virtue of the schools being inclusive, the ministry gives highest preference to learners with disabilities within the school design, such as learners on wheelchairs, hearing and sight problems. Reporting, I'm Lungelele Makakula with Muzim Konda, Babane.
The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Bertram Stewart, has urged principals and school committee members to return to their workstations to discuss the school's requirements and inventory, and thereafter inform the ministry before schools open.
Following the announcement by government that schools will open soon, the Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Bertram Stewart, has encouraged principals and school committees to meet and make a list of all the school's requirements and inventory before lessons resume to avoid any complications.
As we prepare for the reopening of schools, even though we are not certain of the date yet, we would like to encourage all principals and headmasters to return to their workstations in preparation for the school's opening. They need to give feedback to the ministry on the inventory that they have and whatever shortages that they will need, or requirements that they will need to reopen schools when that date has been announced. So we do not expect certain schools to give us feedback on the date of the school's opening, but we need to get their inventory well before we consider the date for reopening of schools. So we urge all the headmasters and principals to engage with school committees who represent parents on what the needs for the school would be, and also to discuss last year's budget as well as this year's budget, what the finances are going to be used for.
Stewart urges principals to cooperate with the ministry for a smooth reopening of schools. Reporting, I'm Lungelele Makakula with Muzim Konda, Mbabane.
The Royal Eswatini Police Service at Sipofaneni, in collaboration with the National Disaster Management Agency, have fumigated public transport vehicles and gave away masks to members of the public at Sipofaneni bus rank. This is part of the REPS's effort to help curb the spread of COVID-19.
The Eswatini Police Service at Sipofaneni, in trying to curb the spread of the coronavirus, took it upon themselves to fumigate all public transport vehicles that operate from Sipofaneni bus rank. Sipofaneni Police Station Commander Oscar Mota says they were able to do this with the help of the National Disaster Management Agency.
Debantu labantu ngomkhuhlane diyesabisabisa sesithi ke ingabe yini intervention ngilengenteka kuze kuthi timane tithi kwehla asa identify ibus rank sasiphofaneni zathwethu njengoba ubona tiyangena tiyaphuma tichamuka kuto tonke tiganga tingeta nalo ligciwane tililayishile tingaphuma nalo tililayishile tolithela kuletinye tiganga sesithi ke singusiphofaneni police station asimane sente taba tekuthi silinciphisa njani bangaphumi nalo nalaba.
Musa Manyathi, who is in charge of the public transport at Sphofaneni, expressed their gratitude to the Sphofaneni police. Manyathi further said this act will not only benefit public transport operators from Sphofaneni, but it will be of help to other public transport operators like those coming from Big Bend heading to Manzini.
Hotspot kuba khona la ranking ngoba ngilaba fikela khona baphinze basakaleke khona so nasibabambe la sinenkolelo yokuthi sisakala lelonke lelive lamswati kuyasisita siyabonga nje amaphoyiseni emuve ukuthi asethekelele la ethekele khona tinini tengosi.
The World Health Organization advises people to wear face masks at all times, maintain social distancing from each other, and washing of hands regularly by using soap and clean running water to curb the spread of the COVID-19. Reporting is Tembelihle Makuchwa with Temba Shabango at Sphofaneni.
More than 14 cattle have been stolen from a grazing land at Mandabeni area on Friday last week. According to Mosheshe Zwane, who was overseeing the herd of cattle, he suspected that the cattle were taken to the Republic of South Africa by the cattle rustlers.
The 14 heads of cattle are reported to have been stolen from the grazing area near the mountain in the area on Friday last week around 3:30 in the afternoon, and the cattle rustlers are suspected to have smuggled them into the Republic of South Africa. Mshweshwe Zwane, the headman, says he left the cattle at the nearby mountain and went home to look for food, but when he returned back, the cattle were nowhere to be found. Zwane says he then reported the stolen cattle to the owners and to the Royal Eswatini Police Service Station at Mhlambanyatsi, but up to now the cattle have not yet been found. Zwane further revealed that they suspected that the cattle were smuggled into the Republic of South Africa because he tried to look for them since then, but still there is no trace.
Ngifike kulomnye baba, atomnye baba basenikomo tihambele la eMhlambanyatsi la ngasemambazo. Ngaye ngihambe ke ngilanzelele umhoshi ngibone vese nakula bethi khona timiswe khona kwabakuhamba kwathu till namhla today.
Royal Eswatini Police Service Deputy Chief Police Information and Communications Officer Nosipho Mnguni has confirmed the incident, and she said indeed there are stolen heads of cattle which were reported to Mhlambanyatsi Police Station. Mnguni says police are still investigating the lost heads of cattle at Mandabeni area. Cattle smuggling is now rife at Mandabeni because 45 heads of cattle were also stolen from one family at Mandabeni in the beginning of this year, and all the heads of cattle have not yet been found. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, Zodwa Dlamini with Mbonga Dube, Mandabeni.
Still watching Eswatini TV. Now we'll have a look at our sports news. Eswatini Boxing Association President Webster Lukele says the recent World Boxing rankings that listed local boxer Thabiso Dlamini as number 20 in the world under 69 kg category has given the association hope that the country could be represented at the Tokyo Olympic Games this year. The rankings were released by the International Olympic Committee over a week ago. Lukele highlighted this during an interview with Eswatini TV in Babane.
The International Olympic Committee recently released world rankings under boxing. Local boxer Thabiso Dlamini was listed as number 20 in the world under 69 kg category. Thabiso's rankings has given hopes to the local boxing association in the country that there will be a representative at the Tokyo Olympic Games.
Lokwendekileke IOC bakhanselela ama qualifiers lebekufile sibe nawo nje sometime bo May June, labeka tawu.
The association's president, Webster Lukari, says the International Olympic Committee cancelled the Paris qualifier games, which the two local boxers, being Thabiso and Zweli, were expected to take part of this February.
Bukela amaboxer lamatsala lekane history kuma international games wareta wona wawarenka.
However, the rankings that saw Thabiso becoming number 20 in the world under 69 kg category is a huge boost and a belief to the country that boxing stands a chance to be represented in Tokyo.
Ngasho nje ukuthi Silive wa looking forward ukuthi kuhanjwe kuyodlalwa kuma Olympics and we are looking forward ukuthi Thabiso ngilomnyelo labatamfaka ku Eswatini.
The two boxers, Zweli and Thabiso, had failed to qualify in the recent qualifiers held in Senegal last year. Eswatini Olympic Commonwealth Games Association has highlighted that nothing is official yet if the country has qualified or not. The association says that more details will be communicated to the nation if anything changes. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonera, Mbabane.
Eswatini Women Cricket Development Officer Luyanza Mamba says the National Cricket Association is working tirelessly to ensure that women cricket is developed in the country. Mamba says the association has started programs of training women within the sport about different rules and regulations of the sport. Mamba was speaking to Eswatini TV Sports in Babane.
Eswatini Cricket Association is working tirelessly, trying by all means to develop women cricket in the country. Luyanza Mamba, who is in charge of women cricket development in the country, says they have started different programs of training women who are involved in the sport.
So basically, the Cricket Association wants the female body to be sustainable on its own. They want to have female coaches, we want to have female umpires, as well as female players, to make sure that we have a holistic sport that has so much female representation, and we want to be sustainable on our own. I'm quite excited that so many females have been registering over the past 2-3 days. So far we have 15, and I hope by the weekend we'll have more than 25 female players who will attend the seminar and at the end qualify to be umpires of the future.
The recent Women League that concluded in the month of December last year did show that indeed there is progress and development when it comes to women cricket in the country. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonera, Babane.
That's all for now. Before we wrap up, let's have a look at tonight's headlines. Their Majesties have announced that there won't be Bukanu ceremony this year due to the outbreak of COVID-19. The Minister of Home Affairs today visited the Ministry's DC offices in Babane. The Minister of Commerce has officially launched IPA's investment promotion, facilitation and aftercare strategy. And with that, we sum up our bulletin for the evening. Up next is the weather update. From myself and the crew here at Eswatini TV, thank you for watching. Good night.